So today we're going to talk about the MAST and ACT prep with using EdReady Montana. Okay, to give you a little bit of background about what EdReady Montana is, if you're not familiar, first of all, we are an assessment plus content. So it's not just a one and done test, it is a test with a learning path behind it. So there's more to the program than just assessing students. We were created by the NROC Project, which is a nonprofit organization. And our program is used to really support students during transitions, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today, that transition of not being ready for an assessment to being ready. It is also a great fit into proficiency-based education platform. So if you are not familiar with EdReady, I just want to do a quick overview of how our program works. So there are 5 steps that happen throughout your usage of the program, and the whole time you have your support, or the support of your ambassadors and our EdReady Montana team, which are here today. So we always begin by doing a needs assessment with schools, where we talk to you about what you want to accomplish with the program. For instance, if you are planning to get your students ready for math, then that will help us determine what goals we will put in place for you. We also support you through adding students, enrolling students, getting usernames and passwords. So we support you all the way through. Students begin by taking a diagnostic assessment sometimes. Our MAST prep goals don't have assessments, but that is something we would visit with you about when we did your needs assessment. So beyond the diagnostic, the program is going to be personalized for each student. So every student's learning path is going to look a little bit different. And there are resources within the program that students use to learn the information, and then they assess themselves. Beyond all of that, there are a whole set of reports that your EdReady ambassador would work with you to go through those reports and tell you what they mean. So this is just a little view on what the diagnostic looks like. It looks like probably every other online assessment that students have taken, except for the fact that we have a pass button. We also, beyond the diagnostic, is going to be the learning path, and this is a view of what the learning path looks like. Once it's built for the students, it shows them their initial diagnostic score and then where they need to focus their learning. There are resources within the program. We have Khan Academy videos, there are NROC videos, there's practice problems, review problems. There's all kinds of resources for students so that they can use the type of resource that is going to help them most. And then, of course, there is the incremental assessments that students take when they feel like they are ready. And eventually they'll reach that goal score of 100. And then at that point, you would work with your ambassador to talk about what's next for your students. And the reports that we have, we do a training with you on there. There's class-wide reports, there's individual student reports, question level, progress monitoring options. There are a lot of reports, and we make sure that you understand how each of those can help support your instruction within your classroom.
Thanks, Virg. That was great. So within all of the things that Virg described of EdReady, we're going to talk about MAST specifically now and how EdReady can help prepare your students before and after they take their MAST tests. So we'll start, by defining what is MAST, and I think you're probably familiar with it, and maybe you're giving tests these days. We have the testing windows of the year right now. And we know that you as educators get to put in what you need in each testlet. So we've aligned what we have in EdReady with what the state of Montana has put in the MAST tests, and given each grade level a personalized learning path that students can go into and find the topics and the objectives they need to prepare for the MAST. MAST prep with EdReady, as I said, is grades 6 to 8. I know MAST goes lower than that, but our program is really designed for those middle school grades. It is at no cost to you, your school, any learner in the state of Montana, thanks to a generous grant from the Washington Foundation. So all of our support and setup in the needs assessment and the steps that Verge described, they are at no cost to your schools. And what we offer is hands-on practice with it to get in there with you. We can do it virtually. We can come to your school and do professional development on site. We travel around the state and we'll help you set up the program, and then we'll be there with you all the way through the reports at the end to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program. We have a lot of offline organizational documents that we'll show you today. They help teachers guide your students through the learning resources because you have different learning objectives and different testlets. You're going to want to navigate through the program to get what you need for each testing window as you've chosen. So there's that flexibility in the program, and we'll walk you through how all of our resources can help you be efficient with that. And at the end, to help you see what the students' performance is like through our reports. And then you can combine them with the MAST reports and help it be as effective as possible for your students. Here's an example of one of our offline resources. What you'll see is the unit on the top, and underneath that there's the topic with the learning objectives underneath of that. There's the MAST testlet that you will see their label on it, and you can see the standard that it aligns to for other resources that you're looking at. You can write in the testlet window that you're going to be doing this one on, and any notes, maybe other things you're using, the day of the week that you're going to implement EdReady into your classroom for that practice, or whatever you need to guide yourself. Alternatively, your students can have a copy of this and they can write in their notes of what they want help with or what they've done, or any communication to themselves for their own goal tracking or to you as their instructor. We have a step beyond our MAST preparation goal and the tracking sheet that I just showed you, which has just the MAST topics in it. For our 6th to 8th graders who also are wrestling with these MAST tests, they're just doing all of their math coursework, and we have the Pathway to Algebra. The Pathway to Algebra is a larger EdReady goal that offers an initial diagnostic, and they get an EdReady score. In their EdReady score, there's a range of placement levels, soft placement levels of where they land in their math knowledge on this given day. But we know that, sometimes people have a bad breakfast, and the magic of EdReady is that you can have a pathway to prove your knowledge or brush up your skills. So you would get your EdReady score and start down your pathway. And as you work through your pathway, you can choose the MAST topics, as you can see below, when you're doing that pinpointed practice that is also used in just our math goals, or if you need to backfill in some of those topics to get ready for what's coming up on your test, you have all of those too. And so this is a way to use EdReady and MAST together to give a real comprehensive support tool to your students. And if you already use EdReady and have used the Pathway to Algebra for years, like a lot of schools around the state have, you can just tap into the MAST topics on our offline resources. So if you want to know more about how EdReady and MAST can work together to help your students, we are going to be presenting at the OPI Summer Institute this summer with the Director of Assessment, Cedar Rose, and we wanted to offer this information that is on their website, and we have from them, in case you haven't seen it, that there are MAST mini sessions. If you are looking at your MAST information and want support, you can click here and go to a mini session and learn more about how you can use the reports. And then we can talk to you about the EdReady reports and we can put it together.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yep.
So we want to talk a little bit about how the math prep has been working, or how Pathway to Algebra as well has been working for some of our schools. So we want to share some information from 2 of the schools who have used our program to support their students this year.
Sorry, my cursor jumped.
So let's talk about MAST prep first, and this is using the MAST prep goals specifically. So one of our smaller rural schools in central Montana has been using the program for MAST prep for 2 years. The teacher, they're 4-day school week, and so the teacher wanted to try to find some way to fit the practice in every day for her students. And so what she does is she has the students come in, and for about the first 15 minutes, the students sit and work on EdReady on their MAST prep goal. And this gives her a chance to do all the things to get the day started, but it also makes the students get in and work on EdReady. What she told us is that she feels that exposure to the content in our program has helped reduce the anxiety students have for online testing. A lot of times in lower grade, students aren't used to online testing, and so having them go in and see math questions and different things constantly has helped them, with reduced anxiety. It has also improved the confidence of her students, she feels. And so instead of stressing out when she tells them that they have an upcoming math testlet, it's been such a habit. They've formed such a habit by doing the math work on EdReady that she feels that that's been really helpful for her students. So our second example, this is actually one of our schools from Colorado. It's a rural Colorado school that has been using the program with their students. They don't do math testing in Colorado, but they do MAP testing. And so what the school did was they used our Pathway to Algebra goal with their 8th graders. They had the students work in the program about 30 minutes a week, and the conversation that the teacher had with the students at the beginning of the year was basically, you get out of the program what you put into it. And that was a big driver behind how the students approached using the program. It wasn't graded, but the principal or the teacher, he was both principal and teacher, he gave the students extra practice time so they could go in and work in the program. And this year, they are actually giving their students extra credit for mastered topics, and so it's graded a little bit more than it was last year. But the results that we saw from them in their MAP testing, this is just an example for some of his students. You can see the students who used EdReady were, really good about getting in there and using the program, and really did put in what they wanted to get out of the program. You can see the amount of growth that they had. So out of the 10 students, the average increase in scoring for the MAP testing was 17.1 points in math. So these were the students who used the program, and the next slide will show you the students who didn't use the program or used it very, very little, and you can see that their average increase was about 3 points. So this administrator felt really confident in saying that EdReady Montana, well, EdReady Classroom actually, the EdReady really helps their students be prepared for online testing.
Thanks, Virg. So it's exciting to talk about the MAST tests and what our middle schoolers need, but we're also going to talk about ACT and college prep today, because that's another big test challenge that we need to prepare for. I'm going to go through the ACT stuff quickly because I want to leave time for questions at the end of our webinar. We want to value your time. So for ACT and college prep, we have two content areas. In the MAST goals that we were talking about, that is just math, but ACT preparation with EdReady Montana has math or English. So for the math ACT prep, we can go a couple ways with you, and this is where we meet with you and have a needs assessment on what you want for your students and your school and data and all of your needs. We have a pathway to college, which gives that score equivalency level for college level math, just like we saw in that pathway to algebra. For a to give students an approximation of their placement. The college will have their own placement test. It's not the same, but it is quite close, and EdReady is used for our college placement in a lot of colleges in Montana. We could get together and talk more about that. The other option, if you don't use the score equivalency chart to progress monitor or check in with your students or set that kind of goal, they can have an ACT math prep goal, which is just the content for ACT math. They get to 100 by the end of their prep time, and they have covered the math that they need to prep for ACT. And so we would talk to you about the differences of those and what you really need. We also have ACT English, which covers lenses of grammar, reading, and writing, and the students will work through that content area in the same self-paced, low-stakes model that the math that we've described is. And those are 10 units of nonfiction pieces to build those skills before their ACT. These goals can be customized to your school and your timeline and what you need, and we can meet with you and have a needs assessment and tell you more about that and get you set up, just like the 5 steps that Virg described at the beginning of the webinar. There's a lot of different ways schools use the ACT or the ACT prep for math or English. They can use it in class as an supplement in their math class to have some set aside time. They can combine it with out of class. They can use it in a special ACT prep semester long thing. And so we can share use cases and find what works best for you when we meet. And we have a one case to tell you about here at Jefferson High School, and Virgil will share that with you.
Thanks. So the school is Jefferson County High School, and they've been using the ACT prep for several years. The teacher, Marianne McMahon, there that uses the program with her students, uses it both in class and out of class, and students have a certain amount of time that they need to spend in the program. She also uses the report that we have to be sure that students are actually using the program correctly and spending the time, but most of our students are really driven to do well on ACT. And on the next slide, we'll see how they did. So this last year for ACT, they raised their school average 1 to 3 points. They exceeded what the statewide average was for ACT. But Marianne also let us know that really the confidence that the students got from using EdReady Montana gave them the ability to work in higher level math classes and feel really good about what they were doing. They also learned like test taking skills and different things that helped them in some of their other math courses as well. So overall, they had a really good usage and some really good outcomes from using EdReady ACT prep. I'll just finish up a couple of things so we can answer questions. Just know that when we meet with you, if you're interested in using the program and you want to learn more about it, you have an ambassador, that's either Jackie or myself, and we support you and meet with you and work with you through the whole setup of the program and usage of the program. So we don't just share the program and then walk away. We will support you through all of the steps that you need to do to have a successful use case.